Hi viewers, welcome back to Sahara TV. My name is Adeola, and today for our inspiration segment, we have an author, Crystal Owonubi, who's originally from Buckside in Arkansas. She moved to Nigeria where she lived for 8 years, and she's now back in the US. She recently wrote a book about her experience living in Nigeria. We're doing a two-part interview with Crystal. This is the first part where we just talk about her going to Nigeria, what that was like, and then another time we will interview her to talk about her book titled Peace in an Unlikely Place, which is about her experience in Nigeria. Crystal Owonubi, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you very much.
Sanu de haiki.
Yawa,
Yeah, de.
Lafia.
Yeah, Lafia, hello. Okay, great. So let's start from the beginning. Before you even moved to Nigeria, you married a Nigerian, but it looks like not everybody was excited about that. Do you mind telling us about what your parents, their reaction to you marrying a Nigerian?
Well, it wasn't only just the fact that he was Nigerian, it was the fact that he was black. And my parents did not want me to be with a black man. And my father actually told me that he would disown me if I was to be with a black man, and that he has surely kept to his word about that.
Wow, wow. I'm trying to imagine what that must have been like for you. You actually had your first child while you were still here in the U.S. Did your father allow you to bring the child home with you?
Actually, it's my third child.
Okay.
My father has not seen my third child. He has only seen the other two children once, and
Wow.
one time at my mother's burial, so it was basically not planned. And then the other time, actually, when I traveled home in 2009, he actually came to see me.
Okay. Your story has been in the news a lot about you marrying a Nigerian and you know how that actually has been the best thing that ever happened to you. We love hearing stories like that. So, but when I was reading through the story, there was a place where you said you called your dad after you had your first child if you could come home for Christmas, something like that, so he could see the baby, and he wasn't too excited about that.
Yes, that was actually when I had my first child.
Okay.
I called him on Christmas Day, and I said, we're going to come and see you, and I'm bringing Whitney with me. And he said, no, don't bring any black people to my house.
Was there
So,
any reason for that though? Him not wanting you to be with any black person?
well, obviously he just doesn't want his daughter to be with a black man. It has to do with the race, not to do with the person that he is.
I see. Okay. So, but Crystal, when you moved to Nigeria, do you mind telling us what that was like, especially like at the beginning when you moved to Nigeria? Before you even answer that, can you tell us why you had to move to Nigeria with your husband?
Yes, my husband was deported back to his country because his visa expired and he overstayed. And I chose to follow him because it was the only way that we would be able to be together.
So it was you, your daughter Whitney, and your husband, and you guys lived in Jos, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that like when you arrived in Nigeria?
Mm, When I arrived, the first week or so, it was great because I had just arrived. I was experiencing something new, a different country which I had never seen before. But then it became like culture shock, you know, having to learn how to take a bath from a bucket, which I've never done, getting my water. Well, I didn't personally fetch the water, but the water has to be fetched from a well and warmed outside if there's no electricity, or with a boiling ring inside the bucket, and then no electricity. There's heat, there's mosquitoes. It was different. And then I didn't have the food that I grew up eating.
I understand that you really missed French fries when you were there. You were making a lot of French fries.
Actually, it wasn't that I loved French fries. It was the fact that that was like the closest thing to home that I could eat and feel totally like I could enjoy it. It was something that I knew, and I didn't grow up eating rice. So before I even went there, I didn't like to eat rice, and then I found out that we had to eat rice almost every day.
Almost
It was
every day. Well, it
yeah,
sounds like
because
sounds like you adjusted well. We were just showing a photo of you making chin chin outside.
yeah, I ended up adjusting very well. I mean, even though it was hard to even figure out how to hand wash a shirt, I ended up, being able, if I'm bored, I can just go outside and hand wash my clothes or, of course, I've always had somebody do that for me, but it wasn't ever a problem if I had to go out and do it. And I know how to make chin chin. I know how to make egusi soup for my husband
Really?
and kose. And I ended up actually enjoying the culture. It was in the beginning, it did take me several years, but, eventually I was able to see the good
And you were
instead of the,
in Nigeria for like 8 years, right?
yes, 8 years.
Okay. So I want to ask you some of the things that you eventually enjoyed about Nigeria. I know now that you enjoyed the food, at least chin chin and jollof rice, probably.
Yeah, but I did get tired of eating it. That food has actually been the biggest issue that I had in Nigeria was the food. Even though I learned to eat the fried rice and jollof rice and yam porridge and all that, but I just think no matter where you come from, whatever your mother gave you when you were little, that's exactly what you're going to want to eat. So I miss American food.
But so eventually, when you adjusted, what were some of the things that you said that if I'm quoting one of the things that you said, that you used to think that Nigeria was the worst thing that could have ever happened to you, but later you discovered that it was the best thing. What do you mean by that?
Well, I used to think about the comforts, not having my washer and dryer and or the running water and electricity all the time. And, a lot of times I just wanted to go back home and go back to America where I could have all those comforts. But it wasn't until I gave my life to Christ and then a few years later, God shed light into my life to help me look at my past and the generational dysfunction in my own family, as in my mother was married 5 times, my father was married 3 times, and there are other things that have just been passed down from generation to generation, and I realized that no matter what, I have to stay in Nigeria and just, adapt to it, because if I don't, my children will end up like I did as a child, growing up in a broken home, and then other things happen, and it really affected me, and I didn't want my children to have to go through that.
Wow, your mom was married 5 times. Wow. I was just gonna ask you what Nigeria changed about you, but it looks like you've already started talking about this. Do you mind sharing more?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing more
More with the
about
changes.
what Nigeria changed about you? How did you change as a person?
Well, I I think I think if you ask anybody that knew me before and they know me now, I'm a totally different person. Living in Nigeria really helped me in so many ways. For instance, one, I'm completely content with whatever you give me. And it's totally different from when I first went to Nigeria. I was completely ungrateful. You know, of course, we had to live off 25,000 naira a month the first 3 years that we lived there. I think it would be hard for any American going to Nigeria and living off that amount. But, living in Nigeria just makes well, let me speak for myself. It made me content and just grateful. And it helped me to see the good, like as in, in Nigerian schools they teach the Bible. They teach about the Bible in school. So many times, I was just thanking God for such an opportunity because I really believe it was God's will for my life. Because if I never went there, who's to say now where my life would have turned out and if my children would even know God today? Because of the church that I gave my life to Christ in Nigeria and the missionaries that I was surrounded by, just so many things affected my life in a great way.
Wow. And eventually you came back with your husband, not just alone, but you came back with your husband. You mind telling us how that happened?
Yes. I had to file a waiver that would prove that it would cause me extreme hardship if they did not give my husband his green card. That's the only way that American immigration would give him his green card if I proved that. So I had to go through this long process. It took almost 2 years to file for that, and it was finally approved. And then we had to rush back because I was like 2 months away from delivering, and I wanted to deliver my baby here.
We actually have a photo of you guys in the plane coming back.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to see that you guys came back together. We're very happy for you, Crystal. And you came back here and you had your third child when you came here.
Yes.
When you were in Nigeria, though, do you mind telling us a bit about some of the things you experienced in terms of the just crisis?
Wow, Jaws crisis was, my first experience was in 2008. That was the worst time when the Muslims and Christians were killing each other, and I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea about the past incidents. So we were on 24-hour curfew several times. You were stuck in the house, and if you didn't have any food, then you're just stuck like that. You can't go out. I've seen a Muslim man get hit in the head by a Christian and nearly die. So I've seen a lot. And then there was a bomb a half a mile from our house. You could feel the vibrations from that. And then afterwards, everywhere you go, there's a roadblock. There's soldiers with their guns, and yeah, it was quite an experience.
Well, it's our inspiration segment, and I can't let you go without, having you inspire our viewers today. It sounds to me like you fought for your home, and I'm wondering, why you did that, and if anyone is watching today and they are in a similar situation, if you would have any advice for anybody.
Well, I know that every situation is different. Everybody has their own personal problems. But I just look at it and I look back, and of course I was able to do all of that because of the strength that God gave me and the peace that He gave me in my heart. But it would have been very difficult for me, looking back on my childhood and knowing the pain that it caused me. It would have been very difficult for me to just give up and leave my husband, and then our children will be separated. We didn't know who they would live with. And then I also consider my husband. He wouldn't be able to see his children. So I just think that we should fight for our family so that we can be a role model for our children. We shouldn't just easily give up.
And we have pictures of your husband, both of you, him and your son. We have pictures of your entire family so people know who we're talking about. So how is Albert doing today?
He's doing very well. He's working at the moment and going to school. He
Wonderful.
misses Nigeria a lot. He wants to go back soon, but I think the main thing we just focus on what God has done in our lives, and that's it.
Wonderful. So while we continue to show photos of your family, I'm wondering if you can tell us where people can get your book. Next time we will be talking about your book, but if you can just tell us where people can get it if they want to read it before we actually do the interview about your book.
My book is available on createspace.com or Amazon or Barnes & Noble online.
I see. And do you mind telling us where people can reach you in case someone is trying to get in touch with you?
The best way to reach me would be on my Facebook page called Peace in an Unlikely Place.
Facebook page, Peace in an Unlikely. We have a photo of your son. He is so cute. Do you mind telling us just his name and how old he is now?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that
I
question?
said we have a photo of your son up with your husband. Do you mind telling us how old he is now and his name?
He's 4 months now. His name is Jaden Oluwatosin.
I see. So it was actually the photo of Mika that we have. So, but that's fine.
Okay, Micah. I delivered Micah in Nigeria. Jaden, people tend to get him the two of them mixed up.
I see. Wonderful. Crystal, we're very happy for you, and we're glad that you're back to the U.S. with your husband, and that your time in Nigeria actually changed you, and according to you, made you a better person. And we're looking forward to talking about the book that you have published about your time in Nigeria. And of course, people can contact you on Facebook through the Facebook page that you have for the book Peace in an Unlikely Place. So thank you once again for coming on the show, Crystal.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, that has been Crystal Owonubi, and I hope that she has inspired you today about, fighting for your family to remain, to be together no matter what's going on, no matter what sacrifice you have to make. And we will talk to her again about her book. Don't forget to subscribe to live stream page, that's SaharaTV. Stay tuned, we still have much more to come.